Most people think unforgettable intimacy comes from what you do in bed, but they're wrong. What makes you unforgettable has nothing to do with the obvious, and everything to do with your hands. Because if you know how to use him in the right way, you'll leave him with a memory he can't shake, not because of the physical act, but because of the emotional connection it creates. Think about it. Your hands can whisper things your words never could. They can tell him, I see you, I want you, and I choose you. That's why the right touch can make him feel not just excited, but cherished. And once a man feels that, he won't ever forget the experience. If you're ready to understand exactly how to create that bond, not just in the bedroom, but in every part of your connection, stay with me, because I'm about to show you the moves that turn ordinary moments into unforgettable ones. Ladies, let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped to wonder what truly makes a man think about you long after the moment is gone? It isn't only the closeness of being together. It isn't just the fire or passion in that instant. What stays in his memory and heart is how you made him feel while he was with you. And surprisingly, the key often lies in something so simple yet so powerful: the way you use your hands in those moments. Today, I want to share how even the smallest touches can create the biggest impact, and why, once you learn to use your hands with meaning and awareness, he won't be able to forget you. When people think about intimacy, they usually picture the obvious physical side of things. But what many miss is how deeply powerful a simple touch can be when it comes from presence and care. Your hands are not just parts of your body. They are like messengers of your emotions, your energy, and the way you want someone to feel when they're with you. Think about times when someone rested a hand on your shoulder or gently brushed your arm in comfort. That small act carried more weight than a long speech. Now imagine how much stronger that effect is in an intimate moment when emotions are already heightened. The way you use your hands then doesn't only add pleasure, it sends a message, creates a memory, something that lingers inside him well after it's over. When your touch has meaning, it communicates on many levels that the body feels deeply. A gentle caress across his chest while you hold him close shows him he is safe with you. A firm hold around his back or his arm tells him that you are fully present, wrapped up in him, unwilling to let go. These movements aren't random. They are signals that stay with him both in mind and heart. People often forget details of what happened, but they don't forget how you made them feel. Your hands become the bridge between the physical act and the emotional experience that takes it from something ordinary to something unforgettable. It's not about putting on a show. It's about making a connection. Many approach intimacy thinking the main focus is just the physical. But the truth is, what matters most is what happens emotionally at the same time. Your hands can pull him closer, not just in body, but in spirit. When you run your fingers across his face, slide them down his arms, or hold the back of his neck, you're saying without words that he matters to you, that he's special, and that you want more than just surface closeness. That's the shift. From an act to a shared memory, a moment he will think about when he's alone, when he's missing you, when he replays it in his head. Touch has the ability to anchor an experience deep inside the nervous system. Scientists talk about muscle memory and how the body recalls repeated movements, but emotional memory works the same way. The warmth of your hand, the pressure of your grip during passion, the softness of your fingertips exploring his skin. All of these become stored in his body as reminders of what it feels like to be wanted by you. This is why people sometimes remember the smallest details of someone they loved years ago. It's not always the grand gestures they carry with them. It's often the little touches that felt real. Your hands hold that same ability every time you use them with awareness. When you think about it, your hands are not secondary in closeness. They are central. They can go where words can't. They can calm him when he feels heavy, excite him when he craves you, and ground him when the moment grows so strong he feels like he's drifting away. They're not extras in intimacy. They're at the core of how you express desire, care, and vulnerability in the most lasting way. It's easy to let intimacy feel like it's all about physical actions. But what actually makes it unforgettable is the emotional bond formed during those moments. Touch is one of the strongest tools you have to create that bond. It's never just about what your hands do. It's about what those actions mean to him. A touch can bring reassurance, comfort, passion, or longing. When that message is given during intimacy, it settles into his emotional memory. Even long after it's over, he might not recall every detail, but he will recall the way you made him feel. And that memory ties back to you. Your hands become like a language without words. When you hold him close, when you softly outline his face, when you slide down his arms, or hold him tightly with intensity, you're sending messages that go way deeper than physical pleasure. You're telling him, I want you, I'm here with you, I see you. That leaves a lasting impression because it gives meaning to the experience. Many people have physical moments in their lives, but not all of them stay in the heart. The ones that do are those that had emotional anchors, and that anchor is often created by the way your hands show your presence. Think about the difference between a distracted touch and a meaningful one. A careless touch feels routine, it's forgettable. But a touch filled with attention feels like the whole moment is alive inside it. It's the kind of touch that makes him close his eyes, breathe deeply, and want to capture that memory. That's what it means to emotionally anchor an experience. You create a link between you and his feelings, so the memory of you cannot be separated from passion, closeness, and meaning. Your hands guide this connection in ways words often can't. A slow, gentle stroke at the right time can calm the pace and deepen the closeness, while a firm grip can increase the intensity and remind him you are fully invested in him. By changing how you use your hands, you keep him involved emotionally. Every slight change in your touch sends a new message, keeping the moment alive and stopping it from feeling mechanical. It keeps him alert and connected, not only in body but in heart. Each variation in touch becomes another thread woven into his memory, another detail he will carry with him. And the deepest effect comes from what your touch communicates. It shows him he isn't just a body to you, but a person you want to reach on a deeper level. That's the anchor he won't forget. Because while people might chase pleasure in the moment, what they hold on to forever is the meaning beneath it. Pleasure can fade quickly, but the memory of being noticed, valued, and deeply wanted lasts far longer. And your hands, when used with care and awareness, are the perfect way to create that meaning. To anchor the whole experience so it stays unforgettable for him. During closeness, words often disappear, but the body keeps speaking. One of the strongest ways you speak in those moments is through your hands. When you use them with intention, they become a guide for connection. Many people don't realize how much influence touch has on the flow of intimacy. It isn't only about where your hands rest, it's about how they shape the energy between you and him. The truth is, your hands can set the rhythm. They can draw him deeper into the moment, or they can slow things down to make the passion even stronger. This kind of leadership isn't about control, it's about connection. It's about using your hands to silently say, I'm here with you, I feel you, let's move together. That silent language has the power to turn an ordinary moment into one he'll never forget. When you guide with your hands, he feels your presence in ways words can't always explain. For example, when you place your hands on his back and pull him closer, it tells him you want to be wrapped up in him. You want him near, with no space between you. When you slowly run your hands down his sides or across his chest, you're setting a rhythm, telling him to enjoy the moment instead of rushing through it. Even the way you hold his arms or grip the back of his neck can completely shift the energy. These small actions act like signals in a dance, letting him know when to move faster, when to slow down, when to lose himself in you. This kind of non-verbal guidance pulls him into a shared flow where both of you move as one. The beauty of this leadership is that it doesn't have to be forced or obvious. The more natural it feels, the more powerful it becomes. He doesn't stop to think, she's guiding me. He just feels deeply connected. as if you're tuned into the same rhythm. That's the magic of using your hands to guide him. It draws him into a state where he's not just lost in his own experience, but fully aware of yours. 2. Your touch keeps him present. It reminds him to pay attention to you, to sync with you, and to follow the rhythm you're setting. When your hands take this guiding role, the whole experience avoids becoming disconnected or robotic. Too often, intimacy can slip into a pattern where one person is moving without noticing the other. But with your hands, you create a silent feedback loop. You show him what feels good, what brings you closer, and what makes the moment deeper for you. This quiet communication keeps both of you engaged and aligned, without needing to interrupt with words. This is why using your hands to lead creates such a lasting memory. He won't just recall the physical sensations, he'll remember the feeling of being drawn into your world, guided into a deeper level of closeness than he may have ever felt before. Your hands become the anchor that grounds him in the present, while also lifting him into something unforgettable. That balance of presence, passion, and leadership is what makes your touch stay with him, because it was never just about pleasure, it was about true connection, and connection is what lasts long after the moment ends. One of the most powerful things you can do with your hands is create contrast in the way you touch him. The body reacts strongly to changes in sensation, and when you shift between soft, gentle touches and firmer, more intense ones, you take him on a journey both emotional and physical, one he'll never forget. If every touch feels the same, the experience quickly becomes predictable, and predictability dulls intensity. But when you surprise him by moving from a delicate caress to a passionate grip, or from tender fingertips to a firm hold, you spark anticipation, and anticipation is what makes him crave more. Contrast works because it plays with his senses. Think about the difference between lightly brushing your fingertips across his skin and then suddenly holding him tightly. The first touch wakes up his nerves, making him sensitive and curious. The second sends a wave of passion through him. When you move back and forth between those extremes, you keep him engaged because his body never fully knows what's coming next. That variety doesn't just heighten pleasure, it deepens the emotional effect because he feels your presence in every move. He knows you're not just repeating motions, but creating something alive and intentional. Using your hands this way adds layers to intimacy. The soft touches show tenderness, affection, and comfort. They tell him you care, you see him, and you want him to feel safe and appreciated. The firmer touches, on the other hand, reveal passion, hunger, and desire. They say, "I want you completely, without hesitation." When you combine both, you show him that being with you is never one-dimensional. It isn't only about softness or only about passion. It's about both, woven together, making him feel everything at once. That is what makes a moment impossible to forget. Contrast also makes him more aware of your presence. If your touch is always soft, his body adjusts and it fades into the background. But when you shift the pressure, the speed, or the intensity, it jolts his senses and brings him fully back into the moment with you. A sudden firm grip on his arm can make him realize just how close you are. A gentle stroke on his face right after can soften the intensity and remind him of the emotional bond. This back and forth between tenderness and intensity keeps his focus locked on you, physically and emotionally. Another reason contrast works so well is that it mirrors the true nature of desire. Passion is rarely flat. It rises and falls, with peaks of urgency and valleys of calm. When your hands reflect that natural rhythm, you're not just touching him, you're echoing the way intimacy naturally flows. You're showing him through your touch that you sense when to build passion and when to ease it, when to excite and when to soothe. That kind of responsiveness makes the connection feel alive. What he remembers most later won't just be how you touched him, but how it felt like you were shaping the whole experience with your hands. You weren't just present, you were leading him into a journey, making every moment carry meaning. And that's the kind of memory that never fades. The contrast in sensations becomes an emotional imprint. He remembers the rush of passion when you held him tightly, but he also remembers the tenderness when your fingers drifted lightly across his skin. That balance of passion and softness is rare, and it's what separates an ordinary encounter from one that stays in his memory. Your hands become more than just a source of pleasure. They become the conductor of an experience he will replay long after it's over. Presence is one of the most overlooked parts of intimacy, yet it's what makes every movement unforgettable. When your hands show that you're fully there, engaged and alive, it changes everything. Too often people fall into habits, repeating the same touches as if intimacy is about performance rather than connection. But when your hands move with intention, when every touch has awareness, you show him this moment is unique. That's the difference between forgettable and unforgettable. A robotic touch feels hollow, even if the sensation is there. The lack of energy and emotion makes it empty. But when your hands linger in the right places, when you grip him as if you never want to let go, when you trace his face slowly, as if memorizing every detail, he feels your involvement. He knows you're not just touching him, you're experiencing him. And that makes him feel significant, not just satisfied. Presence can't be faked. It comes from letting yourself be fully immersed instead of distracted. When your hands tune into what you feel and what he feels, they naturally become more alive and expressive. You don't need to plan each movement. Presence guides it. That's why it stands apart from routine and makes the moment unforgettable. He won't just remember your touch, he'll remember how you made him feel seen, wanted, and chosen. Presence also means paying attention to his responses, the way he leans in when you run your hand across his chest, or how his breathing changes when you hold him tighter. Responding to those signals creates a rhythm that feels personal, like a dance unfolding in real time. It's not rehearsed, it's alive. That's why it imprints itself in his mind. Vulnerability is another layer of presence. Your hands can show emotions, words can't. A trembling touch reveals excitement, a firm grip shows desire, and a soft caress shows affection. In that, honesty lies power, because most people hide behind routine to feel safe. But when your touch reveals your heart, it leaves a mark he cannot forget. What makes presence unforgettable is how it transforms intimacy into something deeply human. He won't only remember your hands, he'll remember that you were truly with him, that you weren't distant or distracted. And that made him feel more alive, more desired, more connected. Your hands don't just give pleasure, they send messages words can't carry. A gentle caress along his jaw can say, I adore you. A strong grip on his arm can say, I want you. Fingers trailing down his back can say, you're safe with me. These gestures bypass logic and reach emotion, creating memories that last. This kind of touch builds trust. When he feels valued through your touch, he opens up in ways he doesn't with others. Intimacy isn't just desire, it's vulnerability. When your touch shows that he matters, he lowers his guard and feels accepted beyond the surface. That's rare, and it's why he won't forget how you made him feel. It's not the big gestures, but the small details that leave the strongest imprint. Holding the back of his neck while locking eyes, intertwining fingers, resting your hand on his chest as if connecting to his heartbeat. These simple actions carry enormous meaning. They show him this moment matters, and that makes it unforgettable. Through your hands, you give him something he cannot find in the outside world. Out there, he is measured by his achievements, his responsibilities, and the roles he must play for everyone else. He is judged by how much he provides, how well he performs, and how strong he appears. But with you, all of that falls away. With you, he is no longer the man who has to carry the weight of expectations. With you, he feels simply like a man, cared for, desired, and valued for who he is at his core. That contrast is powerful. It is the difference between living under pressure and breathing freely. It makes your touch his refuge, the place he returns to when the world feels too heavy. And it's why he will carry the memory of your touch long after the moment has passed. He will not only remember you as someone who brought him physical excitement, but as someone who gave him something far rarer, someone who made him feel grounded, safe, accepted, and deeply connected. That kind of memory lasts far longer than physical pleasure ever could. Physical attraction may fade with time, but the way you made him feel in his heart stays imprinted for years. When your hands become more than instruments of touch, when they carry love, desire, tenderness, and presence, you create something unforgettable. Your touch tells him he isn't invisible. It tells him he is seen. It tells him he is chosen. It tells him he is desired in ways that go beyond the body. That is the kind of experience a man carries for years, the kind of memory that comes back in quiet moments, reminding him of you, even when you are not around. Your hands, when filled with that kind of emotional depth, make you unforgettable, because they don't just touch his skin, they reach the core of who he is. At its deepest level, intimacy is never only about the physical, it is about how you make someone feel when they are at their most vulnerable, their most passionate, and their most real. Your hands, when guided with intention, become a bridge between his body and his heart. They show him he is wanted. They remind him he is chosen. They prove that with you, connection is not routine. It is alive. It is special. It is rare. Think about how powerful that is. In a world where people often feel like they are just going through the motions, you can give him something that breaks through the noise. When you place your hands on him with meaning, it isn't just touch, it is communication. Whether you are being gentle or bold or slow or intense, what matters most is that he feels the meaning behind it. He doesn't just feel your hands, he feels your heart in them. He feels the choice you are making to be fully present with him. That is why, even long after, he will carry the memory. It is not about grand gestures or perfect timing. It is about the intention that flows through you in those moments. When your hands are used not just to please, but to express, when they are not only meant to excite, but also to anchor him emotionally, you create an experience he will never forget. You become etched into his memory because you touch something deeper than his body. You touch the part of him that longs to feel safe enough to let go, safe enough to be fully seen, safe enough to stop pretending he is always strong. That is the rare gift of intimacy. Anyone can excite him, very few can reach his soul. Anyone can touch him, very few can touch the man beneath the armor. When you learn to bring tenderness, intensity, and presence into your touch, you awaken something inside him that no one else can. And once that part of him has been awakened, it cannot be ignored. He will forever carry the memory of you as the person who made him feel more than wanted. You made him feel chosen. This is why your hands matter more than you realize. They are not simply tools of affection. They are an extension of your inner world, your feelings, your desire. They are the language through which you tell him things words often cannot say. Through them you remind him he is not just a provider, not just a role, not just a responsibility. He is a man worth loving, worth holding, worth desiring. That message lingers far beyond the moment. It stays with him in quiet nights, in moments of stress, and in times when he questions his worth. The memory of your touch becomes proof that he is seen, proof that he is valued, proof that he is deeply wanted. This is why connection built through presence is so much more powerful than physical pleasure alone. Pleasure is fleeting. Presence leaves an imprint. When you use your hands to slow down, to truly feel, to express, you create an energy that lives in him long after. He will not forget how you made him feel when the world outside forgot to care. He will not forget how your hands turned simple touch into meaning. And here is the most beautiful part. Your hands don't need to be perfect. They don't need to move in some rehearsed way. What matters most is the honesty behind them. A clumsy touch filled with real care is worth more than a perfect gesture without presence. When he feels your intention, when he feels your desire to connect, when he feels your choice to be there with him fully, he will never forget it.